Okay, hi Holly. Hi Linda, nice to see you. Um, so Cleve, you need to turn your camera on, please. Okay, so the aim of today's session is to possibly go through some of the things that we went through in the IAG. I'm sure there was a lot coming at you and some of the things you might have forgotten. So it's just to recap on those points. Then we will look at some things in a bit more detail, and I'll go through the timetable in a minute. We do have expected behaviors. So please keep your cameras on at all times. This isn't just, for me, it's much nicer talking to faces than it is a screen of blank screens, because that's really not very nice, but it's also a safeguarding issue. So I need to be able to see you all. You've all been punctual, so that's great. Try and limit distractions if you can. I appreciate that you've got, you could be in offices and stuff, but try and limit that as much as you can, especially when we are in the active learn sets where you're going to go into breakout rooms and actually coach each other. Then you do want to be in a private space. So just make sure that you've got that. Okay. So we're going to be, we'll do introductions, group contract to start with. Then we will go dig a bit deeper into safeguarding, prevent, and what that looks like. I'll go into OneFile a little bit. Now, I know that you haven't received your OneFile logins yet. The reason for that is, or you might have started to receive them, but the main reason for that is you don't get your OneFile login until the enrollment form has gone through, and that's been a bit late being processed. So you should get your OneFile logins over the course of this week. And then today I will give you the CPD calendar for Short Trust, so you can book onto the OneFile training. I really suggest you do that. If you're not familiar with OneFile, it will help you. So we'll touch base on OneFile a little bit, and then we'll finish off. Okay, so that's the overall summary for this afternoon. So it's really important that you understand the course that you're going to take over this apprenticeship. And when we look at self-reflection model in a little while, and self-awareness, it's that understanding that you may feel that you're making progress, and this is really good, and then you might go backwards a bit, and that's completely okay, because with every new bit of learning you do, it's almost like a little reset, and it's like you're adding to your toolkit, but it's going to be that case of, oh, okay, I've got to practice that now, I've got to add that on, but that's part of your learning cycle. Okay, so it's really understanding that, and understanding that it's okay for that to happen, and that you have the support around you to help you. All right. As I mentioned to all of you, I am a level 7 certified coach. I'm here to support you. So if you wanted some coaching yourselves, I'm happy to do that. If you wanted to have a chat outside of our reviews and outside of these meetings, please just message me and I will help and support you. All of that is absolutely fine. Okay. You shouldn't feel that you're on your own in this apprenticeship. Okay, so the KSBs that you're going to cover today, we're going to be, like I said, you're going to look at self-reflection, and then we're going to touch on contracting. And we're going to spend, because of, obviously, we're going to be looking at British values and safeguarding and prevent. So we'll touch on S15, which is an awareness of values, beliefs, and behaviours and how they influence practice. So those are the areas that we're going to be touching on today. As we go through, if you have any questions, please put your hand up. As there are a few of you, it will be good for if you have your hand up. Anissa, I do need your camera on, please, so I can see you. You're not. Thank you. Can you put your camera on, please? Okay. So, how are you all feeling today? You will get used to my wacky photos. It's a warm up, break you in. But which hedgehog are you feeling today, coming into today's session?
Oof. Probably number 9.
Okay, would you like to expand on that a little bit?
Kind of like on edge a little bit, I guess.
Is it embarking on the apprenticeship?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
There's a lot of things going on this week, but yeah, being on edge with something new being added,
Yeah,
definitely sort of sets you on edge until you ease into it a bit.
yeah. I understand that completely, and hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable with everything. So thank you for sharing. Who'd like to share next? How are you feeling today?
I think I'm gonna go for number 10 because I feel like I'm solid enough.
Okay.
I'm not number 11 today, but I'm still kind of like just holding on, basically.
Okay. Thank you very much, Holly. That's great.
Happy to go next. I'd say I'm number 5. I'm a bit like, I'm here, I'm fine, but I'm also a bit like, oh my gosh, this is new. How's this all going to work? Yeah, so a bit of I'm fine, but also a bit unsure about what's going on. Yeah,
that's great. Thank you, Nina.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like number 11 because I feel unrecognizable right now. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Kelly.
I also picked number 5.
Okay.
Similarly, I don't feel like I'm not together with it, but yeah, it's a new experience, and I thought the teeth were a little bit holding on tight and getting through it.
I get that. Yes, absolutely.
Which is also reflective of the week and month. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I would go with number 6. Bit swamped to recruitment right now, and obviously I've got to make sure I do this too. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Guys, if we can put our hands up, so at the top you've got your raise your hand, then there's, people know who's coming. Thank you, Nicola. Yes.
Okay, so I'm probably going to go completely against everyone else. I'm going to go with number 1.
Fantastic.
Because I think on the outside, I think I'm probably more likened to a swan. On the outside, it's, yeah, I've got everything covered. I know what I'm doing. But underneath, my legs are like, oh, because there's just everything's going on. But I think for me doing this, this comes first and everything will just go around and it'll be just like waving at people going, yeah, I'm busy. So you need to make time for yourself, don't you?
You do indeed. And that's one of and I think I said this to all of you in the IAG sessions. What I love about this apprenticeship is your self-growth, and all the learners have fed back on how much they're discovering about themselves. So it's a really powerful apprenticeship. I know I would say that, but I really do mean it as well. Ainsley.
Thanks. Yeah, I think I'd go number 6. I think, it resembles a hedgehog, but actually you think it's a cake, but it's a loaf of bread underneath. Just somebody's just smothered chocolate on it. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Who we got? Sean, what are you thinking?
So I was going to say number 1 just because I'm cute, but then I was like, that's a bit far. So I'm going to say number 6 as well because I sort of know what to expect, but don't. So let's go with number 6.
Great. Okay. Have I missed anybody? No, I think I've got everyone. Brilliant. Okay. So what I'm going to do is would like you to go around the room and I would like you to introduce yourselves, who you are, and why. Why did you want to do this apprenticeship? Okay. I'm going to go in order in where I can see people on my screen, so I hope that's okay. So, or unless you want to put your hands up. Is somebody happy to go and put your hand up? We can do it that way. Nicola, let's go. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I'm Nicola Berry. I'm a customer success manager working for me is we're a contractor of Leeds City Council. My role doesn't really explain what I do. I deal with the customer, but I deal with everything from apprentices to compliance to anything that no one else wants to do. Usually falls on my lap. And I think for doing this, prior to kind of getting into the working environment, I did a psychology degree. I didn't. That's a lie. I did a psychology A level. Had a chance to go to uni, didn't, went into a job first. And I kind of think some of the theories on here that I kind of can remember them, but there's a bit of learning for me. And I think what I do, because my job affects so many people, I think if I'm able to then support others with my learning here, then it's got to be a good thing.
Thank you very much, Nicola. And yeah, you're right, there will be a lot of crossover, so hopefully you'll be able to reflect on that, but you'll be able to bring some of that knowledge through as well. Holly.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Holly and I am the head of community at the Bush Theatre in Shepherd's Bush in London. My role basically consists of delivering all of the community outreach work with our local people, so young people, adults, schools, etc. I've worked in community arts for my whole career, and the main reason why I really wanted to do this course is because something that I found is that most people, when they're accessing a kind of community arts program, yes, they want to explore their creativity, but mainly and yes, they want to feel part of a community and part of a social group. But mainly I found that I do quite a lot of informal coaching, because people are often coming to these spaces for personal development. So I find that I'm sort of pulled into that frame of supporting people personally as well as creatively. And so I really wanted to do this course, so I feel like I'm doing that right, and I'm supporting them in the right way, but also so that I have that kind of theoretical knowledge underneath it, so that I'm not just kind of going on my instincts, but actually I've got kind of something to hold on to when I'm doing that kind of work.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Louis.
Name's Lewis Thebon. I currently work as a team leader in Recor and Cleveland Borough Council's IT department. So I basically manage our frontline engineers that take all of the tickets for staff with technical issues. But I also end up doing a lot of work with other departments, with training, dealing with customer complaints, feedback, etc. I do tend to get roped in a little bit like Holly as well, with people's personal development goals within work and some professional development goals for my staff. So I wanted to do this as similar again to try and get that underlying knowledge and some additional tools to use for training and development of not just my staff but also myself, because I'm quite keen on self-development. Always have been from life, just throwing you on. So it's kind of been a long-term thing I've been aiming for, but this was a prime opportunity, so picked it up.
Great, thank you very much. Nina.
Hi everyone, my name is Nina. I work as a HR manager for a local charity in London, Age UK, Lewisham and Southwark. We work with older people in the two boroughs. Working in HR, I feel like I use a lot of informal coaching skills a lot of the time, and developing others is a really key skill. And so I'm here to formalise that training. I've been thinking about it for a while and the opportunity arose, but also quite excited to share what I learn with the rest of the people that I work with as well. And it would be great opportunities to be able to offer in-house kind of coaching to staff as well, once I'm fully trained. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you. Kelly.
Hi everyone, my name is Khalid. I'm an English teacher for adult migrants, and I think that coaching will be really beneficial to our students so we can monitor their progress and provide them with some meaningful help for their education journey, for their employability journey. I'll be soon going into a mentor role, a ESOL mentor role, and I can't wait to be using some of the coaching techniques into that role. It's really practical.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda. I am the CEO of a small charity in Oxfordshire. And I obviously on my day-to-day work with young people, and I also deal with the team. I do supervision and one-to-one, so coaching just felt like a good next step for the team, basically.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Ainsley.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm the enterprise lead at the same council as Louis there, so we've know each other. My role is split really, so I manage a team. So I do a lot of coaching with them, development in helping them be the best that they can. But I also support local new start organisations. So directly helping them launch, look for funding, all the business time. So that feels like a very direct coaching role. Help lots of VCSE organisations as well, just because of the room. And we do sort of lot of work. I think my whole career has been embedded with coaching, right the way from doing, I'm sure my age now, a YTS as in a gym where I was a gym instructor, but it was always about coaching, personal development, either developing the person or the individual, and now it's the business and also the team. So yeah, really passionate about coaching, but I just haven't got any formal qualifications in coaching. So I'd really like to underpin some of my knowledge and maybe bad habits that I've got, or maybe things that I do that aren't in a structure. I'm really, really interested in the learning and the journey and being able to use these skills to positively affect my team and my clients moving forward.
Fantastic. Thank you. Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean. I work for Kingston and Richmond NHS Foundation Trust as a medical HR advisor. So I manage doctors, which is a bundle of fun most of the time. So I have to use quite a lot of advisory and coaching skills, and like the other lady who works in HR, I think it's quite transferable skills wise, and I think my long-term career goals include a lot of coaching, line management and leadership skills. So I thought this would be quite good for me in terms of communication, self-awareness and just general knowledge upskilling.
That's great. Thank you very much. And Anissa and Seema, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm Nsima. I'm an out of hours customer service team leader for Mears. My role here is training new starters, providing coaching and refresher training for ongoing staff. I do believe this will be beneficial for not only me, but my team as well. Once I learn different coaching methods, different leadership skills, just improve my team really.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. And you are going to consider you as an instrument. What instrument would you be and why? I will put these in the chat so you've got them to refer to. Then think about the values in your company. What values do you think would link to coaching? So what coaching words link to the values that are part of your company, and vice versa. Okay. If you want to do the second one, think of a word to describe your last month. As long as it's not too traumatic, you can do that. I don't want to spiral down and, people get quite negative, but it's there if you want to. But definitely number 1 and number 3, please, in your breakout rooms. Now, I see some of you have got automated notes on. I am not going to include those in the breakout rooms because the breakout rooms are meant to be confidential. They're not recorded. So it's a safe space. So just to warn you, is that okay with those of you who've got your automated note-taking on? Yeah? I think that was Linda and somebody else. I'm not sure who. Okay, so I'm going to put you into breakout rooms now. So you've got about 15 minutes. It's a way to get to know each other. Okay, so sorry, I'm just going to move some. All right, I'm going to have to redo this. I apologize. Okay, so that should be 2 people in every room. So room 1, we've got Sean and Holly. Room 2, we've got Athema and Linda. Room 3, we've got Ainsley and Lewis. I know you two work together, but we'll do that for now and then I'll change you around. And then room 5, I've got Nicola and Nina. So 15 minutes, I will bring you back at 1:40. Okay, Khalif, it doesn't seem to recognize you. Okay, for some reason, Khalif, you can't access the breakout rooms, and I'm not sure why.
Do I need to sign out and sign back in?
You might need to. If you sign out and sign back in again, then I'll see if I can allocate you.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, let's see if I can move you into a room now. No, it's still not recognizing you. I don't know why, Khalif. Are you on your laptop? Have you logged into Teams?
Yes.
On your laptop or on a phone?
On my laptop. I can
That's
try
really...
a different account. I'm using my work account.
Yeah, I
got
don't
my
understand.
personal
That's
email.
really weird.
Yeah, it's not good for the future. So good that we found out now. Let me try again with a different account.
Oh, no, because it's your work account that I sent this invite to, so you won't be able to access it using a different account. That's the problem. Okay, for now, if I can get you just to consider, if you think about your work values and what coaching words, if you can just do that. Yeah.
Definitely.
You can turn your camera off if you want to while you're
Okay.
doing that. It's up to you.
Also, how do I pronounce your name? Is it Hiral? Is that correct?
Hyrule. Just
Hiral.
Hyrule. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. Thanks.
Hi, Cleve.
But again,
Okay, let's see if I can see you.
yeah, let's try and see if that works. Oh,
Yes, I've got you. Right.
Yeah.
I'll move you into a room. I know you haven't got long, but I'll move you into a room anyway, and then you can get to talk to some people anyway. I'm moving into room 1, okay?
All right then, thanks.
Welcome back, everyone. Just a reminder, put your cameras back on, please. Thank you. Okay, so I'm not going to ask, hopefully as we go through today's session, you'll be put in with different people and you just get to know the people on your cohort. And this is, your cohort is your network. It's your first point of call when you start coaching and you start practicing. So it's nice to start building those connections and relationships within there. Okay, so just quickly go through the journey. I did go through it in your IAG sessions. So obviously today we're going through the fundamentals. Well, then the next session is about self-reflection and self-awareness in a lot more detail. The active learn sets that take place after every workshop are the practical application of the theory that you're going to learn. Workshop 2 is about contracting and the difference between coaching, mentoring, training, consulting, and counselling, and also looking at legislation. And like I said to all of you before, I would say do not start coaching until at least workshop 2. A lot of people feel a lot more comfortable after workshop 3 because that's where we really unpick questioning and questioning styles. Workshop 3 is an all-day session. Okay. Workshop 4, we look at diversity, inclusion, unconscious bias, bias theory. We look at all of that. Workshop 5 is all about emotional intelligence and really developing your understanding of emotional intelligence theory. We do look at a variety of coaching theories, such as DILT, Gold Start. We'll look at NLP, and then how to apply them in practice. You get given a presentation. You choose which theory you'd like to do your presentation on. It's a 15-minute presentation that we'll do over workshop 7 and active learn set 7. And then we look at methods of evaluation and return on investment for your coaching. Finally, leadership and organization culture before you get to EPA. Okay. Any questions on any of that? No? Okay. Right. So I've obviously gone through the support, the resources with you. Now that you've enrolled, I will assign you sessions for the Padlet. So please look out for email from Padlet with your login details, and you'll be able to log in and access everything that's on the Padlet. Just a reminder that yes, we're going to be amazing coaches, and that's the aim of the apprenticeship, but there is an EPA process that we have to go through at the end, so you get your level 5. So I need to ensure that I cover the full range of KSPs that you need to know for the KSP, for the EPA. Too many acronyms. And your EPA consists of a 90-minute knowledge test, a professional discussion on your portfolio, and 2 observations with a question and answer session at the end. All of this is online. And once you start observing, coaching, I will ask you to invite me to those observations right from the beginning. And the reason why I do that is I used to ask for recordings, but people are having so many issues with security, getting the recording to me. It was proving quite difficult. So it was just easier to invite me and then make me host. So then if I need to record, if I can't attend, I can record it, or I can attend just in the background and then give you feedback. There's only 4 across the whole apprenticeship that you need to do that for. Okay. Any questions on that? No. Okie dokie. Right. So we're going to start looking at self-reflection. And it's quite an opportune time to do that at this moment. So have you heard of the conscious competence model? Has anyone heard of this?
Vaguely, not in much detail though.
Okay. Okay, so the conscious competence model states that when you first start learning something, You don't know what you don't know. So if I compare this to driving a car, okay, if you go back to when you first started to drive, before your very first lesson, you didn't know what you didn't know, how to drive a car. You had no idea, okay? And that's your unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know, okay? And after you've had a couple of lessons, you begin to know what you need to do, but you're still very much at that, you're still stalling, or you're still quite nervy and you're jerking as you're driving. It's not smooth. You're still having to really think about everything that you need to do. And that's the conscious incompetence stage of this model. Conscious competence is, okay, I'm doing okay. I'm not stalling now. I can get into the right gear at the right speed, and we're going quite smoothly. There's no problem here. Okay. The unconscious competence part is, hey, I'm such a good driver. I'm just driving. It's second nature. I don't really need to think about it. Oh, look, I've got a speeding ticket. Oh, look, I've got a parking ticket, because you're not focusing on the detail. Okay. And this is what I was saying earlier. Sometimes we have to go back to refine our knowledge, to refine the detail that we know, to come back, to make sure that we are sitting at that conscious competence model where we are paying attention to what we are doing. Okay. So where would you say you all are on this scale? Nicola?
I'm going to go probably conscious incompetence.
Okay, and why would that be?
Because I think in terms of coaching, the theories, I think I've done plenty of coaching, but then, although I don't know whether it's unconscious competence, I don't know. I'm just thinking that I've done plenty of coaching sessions. I've been on various coaching courses, and I do it on a day-to-day basis and probably don't even think about it. But I think I need to think about it more, because what I might be doing is completely wrong, or I don't think it is, and I'm probably doing myself a disservice, but I want to start right at the beginning and then kind of work again, and then hopefully I'll probably, all right, I remember all that, and it's quicker, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go, there's definitely no complacency, because I know I do things, but you can always improve. And I think this is the whole point of doing an apprenticeship. It is about improving your own skills, and working on what you may already have, but then it's about the bad habits as well. I've been doing stuff for a long time, so I no doubt will have I know I have bad habits, and it's about getting back to basics, and then making sure whatever I'm doing is making a positive difference to the teams I'm working with.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you. Again, it's hard, isn't it? It must be, if you are coaching currently and it's just not knowing where that sits. So yeah, I do understand that. Yeah. Linda?
I was sort of between unconscious incompetence and conscious incompetence, I think, because obviously I do supervisions, and I probably do use some coaching skills, and I've done other courses that are coaching where they bring in things like self-reflection, etc. But I'm not a coach, so I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
So I think conscious incompetence is probably, I've got some knowledge, but yeah, I'm
Okay.
aware that
Thank
I
you
don't
very
know.
much.
Okay.
Thank you. Holly?
Yeah, I think probably exactly the same as Linda, somewhere between novice and advanced beginner. I think I've been doing a lot of informal coaching, just kind of on instinct and from working with people in a kind of self-development informal setting for such a long time. But I know that there's a lot of things I don't know yet. I know there's a lot of theories and skills. I think I could probably name them, but not really understand what they are, what they mean, how they work in practice.
Okay, thank you. Lewis?
Yeah, I think I'll just go straight for unconscious incompetence. There's a lot I don't know, as a lot I've kind of manually developed, I guess, to a degree, but I have no idea if it's the correct way to go about it or not in other training I've done for my staff and myself. I'm sure that there will be many, many things that I'm doing incorrectly or through a roundabout method or something that's just not very effective. And there'll be plenty to learn and different ways of delivering it as well that I'm not familiar with. So I'm just going to say unconscious incompetence because
Okay.
I know nothing.
All right. Thank you very much. You might surprise yourself. Khalif,
Yeah, so I
your
was going to go
camera's off.
for.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, let me say that again. I was going to go for um, the second step, conscious incompetence.
Yeah.
However, as I go through the course, I'll realize that there's more to learn. So, and at the moment, superficially, I can see all the steps that I need, like contracting. Once we do that, I'll see that there's further explorations within that field that I'll need to learn. So I would say I'm between novice and advanced beginner. Um, yeah, there's going to be so much more to learn as we go through. That's the irony of it. So yeah,
That's
looking forward
great.
to it.
Thank you.
Can you still see me? Is my camera on?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Is it,
Thank you.
Does it look
Yeah.
like my camera's on? Okay, good.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. And Seema.
Yeah, so again, the same, I'd say unconscious incompetence, the second step. One of the reason being I'm not a coach as well, and there was a lot I wasn't doing at first. I just completed a level 3, and with that, I realized there was a lot that I wasn't actually doing as a leader when coaching my team, which was affecting them in a negative way. And I've been using a lot of what I learned in the level 3, and the results have been positive. So I'm sure being on this course will just give me more knowledge, which will reflect on my team, how they perform, and just how we perform as a whole here.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Ainsley.
Yeah, I apologise, but I think I'm just gonna have to say exactly what Nicola said. I
Yeah.
feel exactly same stage. I've been on CPD. I've worked with different communication styles, and I've been to a lot of little bite-sized training courses to be able to upskill during my career. But I'm just not sure the habits I've picked up that aren't actually, based in strong coaching ethics and foundations. I'm not sure whether there's things that I think is actually in my wheelhouse that I'm not very good at. I've never really had that critical eye shone on how I deliver this coaching. So if I'm honest, I wouldn't know what level I'm on because I don't know what I don't know. I couldn't really. I think I'm at a certain level, but I wouldn't say for certain that I'm, even a novice. I might be higher. I might be even lower than novice. I'm just not sure. So it's a bit of a learning discovery to see where I am. And again, like I say, I know some principles, but whether I've interpreted them right or where I've took them on, it's still lots of questions for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Very self-reflective. Okay, so Nina, we haven't heard from you.
Yeah, I'd put myself between novice and advanced beginner, just echoing what everyone else has said. Like, I use coaching skills informally, but I don't use a kind of methodology or any structured approach. So, yeah, I'm aware of some things, but I'm also aware that I'm not aware of a lot of things. So I put myself there.
Fair enough. And Sean?
I'd be more inclined to put myself as a novice, but I think I could coach someone. I just don't know if it would be ethical. So I think I'll just keep myself at novice and we can watch me hopefully progress.
Okay, no, that sounds very good. Okay, so you've all sort of mentioned that you have some idea of coaching, what coaching is. Now, one of the things that I'm going to ask you, I'm just debating whether to, okay, I'll come back to that in a minute. Right, okay. Really, really interesting conversations, actually, because when you are learning And it doesn't matter, I think, where you are on your journey as a coach. And you do get coaches that are MCC, so they're master coaches. You know, you've got people like Jenny Bird, Ruchi, you've got, you know, Claire Pedrick, they're all MCC. But they still come back down. Every time they learn something, they come back down to the bottom because it's a new skill, it's a new lens, it's a new way of looking at something. The important thing is, if we want to keep growing and we want to become better and better, we are open and we are okay to come back down again and open to learn. And that's really, really important. And that's not just important for you as a coach. You will, you know, if you're coaching somebody, you might get sent somebody by a manager, say, you know, this person always performed really well. All of a sudden, they're not performing. Why is that? This model, if you give somebody this model to work through for themselves, is a really, really good way to help them self-reflect. Some people who you coach might struggle to articulate what they're thinking, what they're feeling. They might not want to open up. If you give them something else, so they're talking in third person, they're talking about a model, not about them, they're more likely to open up. So you can say to them, okay, so what does this look like for you? What skills fit in each step? Because you're going to have some skills that will be expert. All of you will have some skills that sit in this expert step. But you have some skills that are down here. And that's not a reflection of an inability or your lack of professionalism. That's just the growth cycle. And that's how we all learn. So this is a really, really powerful tool, your first tool that you can use when you're coaching, but we'll come to that in workshop 1 and we'll look at that in a bit more detail. What I want you to think about is, because you've all mentioned that you coach and you do, you know, you've done this in some way. What does that look like for you? When you say you coach, what does that look like for you? Does it look like asking a variety of questions? Does it look like giving advice? Does it look like listening? What does that look like? Lewis?
Yeah, so I realized that this is, or I realized that this wasn't as efficient, but I started off with listening to people's problems or what they wanted to talk about, and then providing direct advice. You know, you should do this, you should do that, you should think about this, you should think about that. Realized quite quickly that that was a terrible idea, because as soon as something went wrong with that route of travel, it was your fault. So
Yeah.
you got scapegoated, you got blamed, people lost their trust in you, their faith in you. You would end up in a position where you felt responsible for the outcomes of somebody else's actions.
Yeah.
So as I went through more management, this was luckily before I started managing much. So when I started training my staff, I started doing more listening and questioning of, well, why do you think this is happening like this? What do you think you can do to change what you're doing or change what's happening? It was honestly an extremely difficult process to get into because I always felt the need to jump in with advice and say, hey, maybe you should do this, when that historically hadn't worked out very well.
Okay.
So how it looks for me at the minute, through some small progressions here and there and setbacks and whatnot, it's a bit nerve-wracking. It's a wee bit of a mess depending on what I'm trying to help somebody through. It's quite often dependent on the person's attitude. So if they're quite distraught about what's going on, or if they're really angry about it or irritated about it, it's a lot more difficult because it's more tricky to get them into a line of thought that's productive or progressive, because they already have that kind of negative attachment to it.
Yeah.
So it's still a bit of a struggle, but try to use that more positive. How do you feel we need to resolve this? How do we go forward with this? what can I do within a proper capacity rather than just try to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, difficult in a word.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing. Nicola. Oh, sorry. Nina, I'll come to you in a minute, Nicola. Nina.
Yeah, for me in the workplace, kind of my informal coaching looks like listening. It looks like kind of asking questions, supporting people to kind of find solutions, maybe their own solutions that they're comfortable with, that works kind of for them in the organisation. I'm not sure that I use a structured approach in doing that. So it is kind of very informal, but that's kind of how I see coaching for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Nicola.
I think from kind of my experience, I think coaching starts when something's gone wrong. So I do a lot of analysis on kind of the productivity of the teams, and then it's then understanding why maybe if someone's productivity has gone down, it's to understand why, and then what can we then do to increase productivity. So it's starting right at an end result and then working backwards to then get to kind of the desired result. So it's about sitting down with an individual, asking them about anything that's changed, and then sort of going through, sometimes using like a training needs analysis or doing a skills matrix, similar to doing this. It's kind of identifying any additional needs that they may have, and then getting them to understand or getting them to try and identify what's gone on, and then taking into account external factors, and then working with them to improve, putting in an action plan, revisiting it with the individual, and then hopefully for me it's then the analysis of what's gone on, what's happened, and then has there been improvement based on working with that person.
Great, thank you very much. Holly.
Yeah, so I suppose my experience of kind of informal coaching is quite specific to a kind of community arts context. So oftentimes I'm working with people who are performing for the first time. Maybe they're sharing some of their creative writing for the first time, or maybe it's not the first time, but they're having some confidence issues, or some stage fright issues, or interpersonal dynamics within the group. So my sort of coaching practice is listening, and being empathetic to what that individual's sort of feelings and experiences are. Questioning, definitely, to try to understand where is this coming from. Oftentimes the headline issue is not the underlying issue, so trying to get to the bottom of that. And then in terms of like how I can sort of solve the problem, maybe not solve is the right word, but address the problem, is by offering the individual choices. So what are their choices in this moment, helping them to understand what their choices are, and also walking along with them a bit of scenario work in terms of, well, what is most likely to happen if we go down this choice, this option, and then also letting them have, not letting, but allowing them the sort of autonomy to make that choice for themselves, and really understand what the likely outcomes of their choices might be.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Linda.
I probably wouldn't have referred to anything I do as coaching, to be honest, but I do monthly supervisions, and I suppose I'm just going to be repeating some of the bits that people are saying in terms of, listening, choices, and I suppose most of the stuff I do is around the work and I suppose HR. So advice is probably more around, how we can improve things for people along lines of, say, flexible working, etc.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Leaf.
So coaching really aligns with teaching, and it's interesting what Louis said about you can't tell people what to do, how to do it. You have to ask them the right questions, and you can't tell them the answer straight away with English, with teaching. You have to allow them to reach to their answers. Like what Ali said about allowing autonomy, and also exploring their motivations for coming into the English classroom, why they can't attend, if there's any barriers, understanding what we can do to prevent that or limit that. But during the whole process, you can't tell them what the best route is. It's a bit like counseling as well. You can't tell them what the best way to go, where the best way to go is. They have to come up with that decision themselves. But coaching in a coaching context, formally with the action plan, um, with the same terminology as coaching, I haven't done that before. Just kind of did it on the fly. Just
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you.
so good.
Thank you. Sean.
So I don't do loads on a day-to-day basis, but not professionally anyway, but I've put identify needs and goals, improving mindsets, helping people grow and evolve and challenge their mindsets and reshape the narrative they might have about themselves. That's just what I've put.
Okay, thank you. And finally, Nsima.
Yeah, so for me, at first, coaching was just teaching people processes. So what I was doing is I'd make a process guide, and I'd take the team through it during one-to-ones and in groups as well. But what I found out very quickly is everyone was reading the guide, but interpreting it differently. So I had to learn and understand different methods of teaching, different methods of learning, and build that rapport with my team, because I couldn't just generalize it and say, here's the guide, here's what you're supposed to do. Have a look at it if you're stuck. I found out that there was still room for people to make their own decisions when you do that. So I had to learn and build that rapport with people to be able to help them and
Okay, great.
also monitor progress.
Great, thank you very much. Ainsley.
Yeah, it might be my understanding of coaching and how I interpret coaching. So sometimes I think there's things with like management, leadership, development work where I probably take that away from when I'm coaching. So things like managing tasks and operations, I think there's times when I can't coach those things. There is a right and a wrong way of doing certain activities and a structure within that. But what I try to do is when I'm coaching my staff, it's about enabling them to come up with their solutions to certain things. So enabling them, and it might not always be the exact solution that I would do, but it's them going through that process, learning, taking something from that and building their skill set. And that is a bit different from the sort of management where I would have like KPIs and how you're performing and smart objectives and all those other sort of business management sort of things that we can chat about. But the coaching for me is about developing my staff or my clients or the organizations that I work for to be able to think, actually, I'm able to think of the solution in this way because they've walked that path and they've looked at the challenges, they've experienced those challenges, and I'm able to sort of facilitate them on that journey, not say left or right, but say, right, what are the implications of going those routes? That's how I interpret coaching, rather than sort of, and I do the management, the nuts and bolts of management, but I don't use coaching in every circumstance for my team because sometimes it's just you can't coach those certain conversations. It needs to be the right tool for the right job.
Absolutely. And that's why you have different interventions. That's why you have coaching, or you have mentoring, or you have counseling, you have training, you have consultants. You know that there is a need for all of these things. And so the coaching that we are going to be looking at is non-directive coaching. So some of you have alluded that you do recognize that. So it's not like sports coaching where you're very specific and you're telling people how to perfect a skill. And it's not training. This is very much non-directive coaching. So you're not asking leading questions. You're not giving any advice. You're not even giving choices. Everything is coming from the coachee. What you are doing is asking really, really mindful, specific questions that encourage that self-reflection. that encourage that conversation to take place with you. Okay, and that's really important that we clear that right from the offset, so that you're, when you are practicing coaching, that's what we're looking at, is that complete non directive coaching. Really difficult to do. Okay, we all want to jump in and give advice because we think, oh, we've been there, we've done that. However, if I go back to what Lewis said, if you give advice and it goes wrong, they're going to come back and blame you. The whole point of coaching is they learn to take responsibility. They realize that they have the strength, the skills, the understanding to do whatever it is they need to do. Something that Nicola picked up on is quite often you get asked to coach somebody when things go wrong. You're absolutely right. And that is a real issue we've got in this country, because coaching should be for everybody. It's tapping into that potential. You go over to America, everybody's got a coach. Okay, even when things are going well, people have got a coach because they know they can do better. That's one of the differences, big differences between coaching here and coaching in the States. So the way I look at coaching and the way we're going to look at this is actually it's a tool you will use when you do performance management, when you do have any conversation, because whoever is in front of you, you're going to empower them to do even better. But yes, you can't coach every situation, because that's just not, you won't have enough time in the day. It's not physically possible to do that. Like I said, some circumstances require training, require consultant, and that's where we'll unpick those in workshop too. So when you need to do what. Elif.
You mentioned that when there is a problem that arises, that problem, some people believe that that problem requires coaching, but it should be the opposite way around. Coaching comes first. Would you say that coaching is used to prevent those problems? Or
Should be.
what
Coaching should.
positive light? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got the right structures in place and you've got a coaching environment, then it is preventative, not reactive. But at the moment, we still use coaching as a reactive tool. Okay, so we're just moving on a little bit and looking at contracts. Okay. And this links to K4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into breakout rooms again, and I want you to consider what you expect from each other throughout the program and what you expect from me throughout the program. And I will put that in the chat so you have it at hand. Okay. So I'm going to put you into different breakout rooms, slightly larger breakout rooms, so you've got more people to talk to. Okay, so I'll put you into two rooms. Room 1, Holly, Khalif, Sean, and Seema and Ainsley. And then room 2 is Linda, Lewis, Nicola, and Nina. Have I missed anybody? Oh, okay. I'm going to give you 15 minutes to do this. That'll be 2:30. What we can do is if you go into a break, so we finish at 2:30, go for a break, come back at 2:45, and that will carry on with the session. Okay? All right. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Just wait for everyone to come back. We're a little bit early.
Oh.
A quick check-in with everybody. How's everyone doing? Are we okay? Session going okay for everyone?
Yeah, all good.
Good, good. Okay. So before the break, you did discussed expectations from each other and from me. Would one person from each room like to share what you discussed, what your expectations were? Room one, Holly?
Yeah, I'm happy to share from our group. So in terms of what we expected from each other, we said respect and kindness was at the top, and what that meant to us was listening and paying attention when other people are speaking, especially when we're online. That it can feel quite easy to be like doing something else when someone's talking. It's just that if you had that person in front of you, you probably wouldn't be doing that. So just keeping that in mind, engaging with other people's ideas and their input, like not laughing or making fun if somebody makes a mistake, and honesty.
Nice, thank you very much. And what about your expectations from me?
Yes, so from you, we talked about communication and support. So if we need to reach out for help with anything, that there's a kind of a line of communication, transparency as well, and also just about being kind of well organized and resources coming through when we're expecting them and things like that.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Group, were you room 1 or 2, Holly? I couldn't remember.
Oh, I'm not sure of the number of our group.
Okay, don't worry. Somebody else in another group to Holly, would you like to share? Linda.
From each other, we also had, acceptance, so that we might have differing ideas and opinions, trust, that we wanted feedback, obviously, from each other, and it just needed to feel like a safe space.
Lovely.
With their key takeaways. And I don't think there's really anything to add from what we wanted from you, but if any of my other group think I've missed something, please jump in.
That's great.
What's already been said. Thank you.
Thank you. No problem. Okay, so moving on, we're going to move on to PDBA. And I did discuss this, mentioned it briefly in the IAG sessions, and it's about personal development, behaviours and attitudes. And there are different sections to this. We're going to look at British values and safeguarding in today's session. And we're going to look at EDI in a bit more detail in workshop 4 when we start unpicking diversity and inclusion and what that means within coaching. Okay, so before we go into British values, does anybody know what they are? Has anyone heard of them? Is anyone aware of them? No? Okay. Sean?
It's just treating each other with respect, isn't it? And just being mindful of each other, and there's protected characteristics and stuff. Is that the same thing?
Okay, so yeah, protected characteristics comes under safeguarding and what we're mindful of. British values are a very specific set of values that have been identified by the government. This was many years ago. And children are taught this in school right from early years through as the core values. And it's about acceptance, really. But before we go into that, I want you to consider, what are values? What are they based on? And how do they impact your day-to-day lives? Holly?
Yeah, I think that your values are the drivers of behavior. So you will behave hopefully in accordance to your values. So they will sort of be the kind of underlying rules of how you want to interact with other people, with the environment, with yourself.
Okay, thank you. Lewis?
Yeah, I think most of the time values are what we or groups of people or organizations or societal find important. Quite often come about as a result of tradition, common beliefs societally. They could also even be something that's developed over time for individuals based on historical events just for that individual or for a small group of people. So, as an example, they may have had a terrible experience with a certain group of people or a specific sex or something like that, and they form a belief or a value based on that. So they're not always positive things or correct things. I
Yeah,
think quite often they are also personal belief systems that become a core part of, like was said before, behavior. And they can change how people behave and how they act across
yeah,
the board and how they treat other people. So
yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that. Leaf?
It's something you work towards.
Okay.
But
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. So what I'd like you to do is I would like you to jot down 5 values that you think are important to you, that you believe are important to you, or your core values for you yourself. You just jot those down for me. Sorry. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to stop sharing my presentation and share a little video. So it's just not my voice you're hearing all the time. Okay. Can you all see that? And just let me know that you can hear
about
it.
the weather, watching the World Cup and making an amazing cup of tea. In Britain, we have a set of values we hope to be shared by all that guide us to be a nation where everyone feels safe, valued and free to be themselves. So, what are they and what do they mean? Mutual respect and tolerance. We don't all share the same beliefs, faiths or ideals, but we should respect others and feel respected and safe in our own beliefs. We shouldn't impose our beliefs on anyone else, as we wouldn't wish others to do to us. Remember, we're all different. Democracy. Being in a democratic country, our voice matters. Our votes guide the decisions made by the government for the best running of the country. Democracy allows the majority view to become the deciding factor in decision making, and it helps us feel valued. And don't forget that your vote counts too. The rule of law. The laws in this country are put in place to help us live and work in a happy, safe and secure environment. Abiding by the laws set in place through democratic processes is in our best interest if we want to remain safe. Individual liberty. We have the freedom to express our individuality through freedom of speech, freedom of choice, and our individual presentation. Just consider the guidance in the above values and show respect to all. Our individual liberty protects our rights, and expressing our individuality demonstrates our value in British society. Each of us is unique, but with a shared goal of harmony. So, remember British values: democracy, mutual respect and tolerance, rule of law, and individual liberty. And then make yourself a cup of tea. I hear we're known for it.
Okay. So now that you know what the British values are, what are your initial thoughts? How do they match up with your own values? Are they particularly different? Are there similarities? What do you think? Sean?
I don't really like the term British values. I like the term
Okay.
values. I hate the fact that it's called British values, but we won't get into a debate about it. I'm very respectful of them. My first one was respect, then inclusivity, kindness, growth, and professionalism. I think some of them do overlap. I don't particularly like the term tolerance in the British values. I think that needs to be scrapped. I think they should just be called human values. But yeah, there are overlapping values for sure.
Yeah.
That's all from me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I think, yeah, most people would agree tolerance wasn't the best word that has been used, because we don't tolerate, we accept. And acceptance is far more welcoming, isn't it? Lewis?
Yeah, the main ones it's kind of difficult to think of these, to be honest, but the main ones I put down for things that I value are empathy, honesty, trust, freedom, and fairness. Because I think a lot of the other things that I think they were included in the British values, stem from empathy.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure why they separated them out. So I think if we can all empathize with each other and understand each other, everything else kind of comes about from that naturally. So that's kind of how I see it.
Okay. Like I said, the values, the British values were put in place to teach children those for them to understand. So I think it makes it easier for them to understand the differences if they're broken down like that. But it's all part of empathy and freedom. Absolutely. Nina?
In terms of my values, I'd say, yeah, around authenticity. I said compassion, but respect. So I think that carries over. I really like inclusiveness. For me as well, for my values, it's something about working with others. Community is really important for me as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Holly?
Yeah, I mean, I think in principle they're excellent values to have, and to be upheld. In terms of the ones that kind of cross over for me, I didn't get to all five. I think I was thinking about it a bit too much, but I did get empathy, autonomy, and balance. And I think those map onto the empathy around mutual respect, autonomy around individual liberties, and the balance. I'm not sure where that sits. That's maybe more of a personal value for me, perhaps around like democracy and fairness and hearing both sides. I wonder if the word tolerance is there because we might not, let's say within our own society, we might not accept somebody else's view, but we may still need to tolerate it. And that's part of maybe free speech. I don't know. That was just my thought on that word and maybe why it was there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Does anyone else like to share anything? No? Okay. So those were the British values, and they are threaded through everything we do, because actually mutual respect is really, really important, and it's core. And coaching is absolutely central to British values. Everything that you do in coaching, when you think about the coaching competencies, they all uphold the core values, and that's what it's all about. So we're moving on to safeguarding now. What do you understand about safeguarding? Do you have any knowledge of safeguarding? So between a scale of 1 where you don't know anything and 5 you're an expert, where would you put yourself on safeguarding? Holly?
Yeah, I'm the designated safeguarding lead for my organisation. So I've done quite a lot of training around safeguarding, specifically around child protection, because we do a lot of work with young people and children and young people. So to me, safeguarding is about preventing harm in the first instance, and then if harm is happening, being able to identify it. And know the pathways to report it or to take it further if it needs to happen.
Thank you, Holly. Yes, absolutely. Khalif?
Yeah, I think Holly mentioned everything really. But I was going to say protecting vulnerable individuals, keeping them anonymous, keeping them out of harm's way, and not just vulnerable people as well. Just keeping an eye out on everyone, making sure everyone is safe. So
Yeah, thank you very much. Ainsley?
I'll be honest, I quickly put my hand down after Holly spoke because I was thinking I can't. This isn't my expertise. I've been on safeguarding courses because I support my son's football team and cricket team, and there's that sort of thing of just making sure that, you know, like Khalif said, you're keeping your eyes open and you're looking out for people, and you're making sure that, you know, if you see something, you take actions to support them. You know,
Yeah,
report
absolutely.
the correct things.
Yeah. Nicola?
Like Holly, I'm the safeguarding lead for our contract, and it's quite, sometimes I don't have anything to deal with and sometimes I have loads. So it is about sort of identifying when something's not right. So we go into a lot of tenanted properties where there's children or where there's adults, vulnerable adults, and our ops go through sort of training to know when something doesn't feel right. So there ones, if they believe there is something that is not right within sort of that area, they would then make contact with me, and then I follow kind of the process with the council, whether it, depending on what the situation is and depending on whether it's regarding children or adults.
Okay.
So ultimately it's about preventing sort of harm to these people, whether it be emotional or physical, and then if we identify it, it's following a process to ensure that they're taken out of harm's way, and then getting all the relevant key stakeholders involved. So going forward, issues don't arise again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Seema?
Mine is very similar to Nicola. One of the contracts that we deal with here is the asylum contract, where we're looking after asylum seekers. So
Yeah.
it's identifying red flags. If we get information that there could be a protest, we'll put things in place, get in touch with police, get in touch with safeguarding lead, have more security on site, make sure we don't move people to those specific hotels that are at risk. So it's about preventing, as well as obviously if something does happen, we know what to do to keep people safe.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. So I'm not going to go into this. You clearly have an understanding. So I'm not going to go into this in much detail. I'm going to move you on to your activity. But just very quickly, if there is something that you are concerned about, whether it's within the cohort, you notice something, you bring it to me or Sam Handley, who is our designated safeguarding lead. Okay. And safeguarding is about protecting, it's everyone's responsibility. It's not like, oh, somebody else will deal with it. It's everyone's responsibility. And obviously, when you are coaching, that is the one thing that you will break confidentiality on. Your coaching sessions are completely confidential, apart from if you feel that your coachee is at harm themselves or is going to harm someone else. And under those conditions, you can break that confidentiality. Okay, that's really important that you understand that. And when we talk about harm, okay, it's about anything that's going to cause physical, emotional harm, mental harm, bullying, including cyber bullying, sexting, sexual abuse, neglect, physical attack, being forced to do something against your will. And these are all things that you need to pick up on when you are coaching somebody. When you're coaching young people, you know, and when we in workshop 4 we look at non-verbal communication, and you'll have somebody who personality might have changed. You're coaching them, they're not engaging, might be something going on, and there should be alarm bells ringing in your mind when you're seeing a significant change in them. It's really important. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. I did email you all coaching scenarios with a safeguarding context. So in your pairs, I'd like you to go through those and discuss the dilemma and what type of harm that constitutes and what you would do in response to what's being disclosed. Okay. Did everyone receive those scenarios from me? Yeah? Okay. So I'm going to put you into, let me go back and put you into breakout rooms of just in pairs so you can talk about this in a bit more detail. Okay, so we've got 1 room of 3 and then 3 rooms of 2. You've got 20 minutes to do this activity, so it's 3:05 now, so I'll bring you back at 3:25. Any questions from anybody? No? Okay, I shall see you shortly. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you've been able to go through some of those scenarios. So would anyone like to feedback on scenario number 1? Lewis?
Yeah. Let me just go back to it so I've got it in front of me. So the hint at being bullied by a colleague, tricky circumstances. I think what we said was understanding the situation from the coach's perspective is quite important from the get-go, because if someone is saying, hey, I don't want to come into work because it's not particularly nice around someone, or I have trouble with individuals or whatnot, you have to understand why they're saying that before you can really support, because otherwise it could be something completely different from what you're imagining. So getting a firm grasp of the situation from their perspective is important. Checking if they have any support routes that are already investigating.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in trying to rehash something that's already going on. You can also support them in keeping on with that if that's something that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they have yet to initiate a support channel and they want to try and get to that point, you can help them get there.
Yeah.
I think it's quite important to give validity to how the person feels. So not sort of being dismissive. I know we've kind of touched on that a little bit where we don't agree or disagree with the coachee, but giving validity to how they feel about something, because it is their feelings at the end of the day that we're trying to help with and coach them through.
Yeah.
So provide
absolutely.
them safe space to expand on the situation, and then that should help both of you to get the right route forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Can I just say, Linda and Khalif, Sean, your cameras are off. Put them on, please. Ainsley, did you have something to add to this one, or would you like to talk about a different scenario?
If this is all right, it's a little bit more my understanding here. Also, I apologise if I've gone down the wrong path with this, but my understanding for all these scenarios is it would maybe change from a coaching environment, because if I was coaching and somebody disclosed any of these topics, then it would automatically go to a bit more of a process driven. Who's the manager? Am I the manager? Then there would be a procedure where I would have, and all the things that sort of was mentioned there that I totally agree with. But that's, for me, that's not coaching, because I'm not helping the person to, come to their own sort of development. And it would be very much, I would take my coaching hat off and put a manager's hat on and a safeguarding hat on, and then it would be right, understand the situation and the process driven from a safeguarding management perspective rather than a coaching perspective. So I was just, as we were sort of working through, it just felt like a little bit of a disconnect, because I could answer the questions, but I wouldn't be coaching around this.
Well, no, but I don't think there is a disconnect. I think the point is, if in a coaching session somebody brought this up, what would you do? And yes, you wouldn't carry on coaching them. It wouldn't continue to be a coaching session. You would stop and be very clear with them on what the next steps should be, that you would need to discuss this further and escalate it. So that's where your confidentiality stops, because this is a safeguarding concern, or it may not be. After talking to them a bit more, you may say, okay, you're just airing. It's not actually something that I'm going to raise right now, but I'm going to monitor depending on how we go. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, number 2. Who would like to discuss this one? What did you decide? Holly?
Yeah, so we talked about this being a possible example of psychological, emotional, and financial abuse. And we talked about how you might handle a disclosure in terms of, again, asking open-ended questions, taking a record, a verbatim record, as soon as possible after the disclosure happens, because those can be used in any kind of criminal case that there might be. And then the support or referral pathways, we talked about specific charities and different kind of helplines and organizations that exist to support people in who might be experiencing domestic abuse or intimate partner violence. And then we also discussed that in that case of exploring the disclosure a little bit more fully, and to find out the kind of immediate situation and whether that person is in danger, and whether it would need to be escalated somewhere like the police. Just finding out the severity of that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Scenario 3. Like to share your discussion around scenario 3, please? Somebody different? Sean?
Yes, no problem. So in this one, we were saying we would struggle a little bit because Holly's mental health, what they called mental health person in her organisation. So she noted she'd struggle not to put that hat on rather than a coaching hat on, which I think is completely fair. So we sort of said we'd have to figure out the severity of the mood. It might just be they're having a bad day, and then provide them with the relevant signposting. In terms of balancing empathy with safeguarding, I can't remember what I said, Holly, but it's actually really good. I sounded really smart and now I just can't remember. It was something regarding like obviously providing the good listening skills, asking questions, digging a bit deeper, but equally understanding the severity and knowing if you need to signpost further. How serious is it, basically? And I know all mental health is serious, but how serious is it? And yeah, where do we go from here?
Thank you very much. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we will look at is when you need to stop coaching and signpost to other services, because that's just as relevant and that's part of your role as well. And Seema? You're on mute.
Okay. What we discussed is giving people that safe space to open up, just asking them if they're okay, if you notice a change in how they're behaving, they're being withdrawn. So you can't force them to open up, but letting them know that, you know, they can come to you and speak to you. And sometimes you might need to get a second opinion from someone to see if you need to signpost it further, if there's like a risk of serious harm, stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you. Nina?
So I've just got a question. So if, for example, the last one, could you do some coaching around the issue?
You can do.
Yeah, because say if someone comes to you and there's a domestic abuse situation at home, you could work on that in the coaching context.
You could, if that's what they wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to remember that the coaching conversation is very much driven by the coachee and what they want to talk about. It is quite difficult to coach around some of these scenarios when they become safeguarding and somebody is at risk. Then
because I'm unsure what the safeguarding path is if there's a domestic abuse situation, right? Because I'm just talking about my own experiences of how I've seen it at work, is that, you know, you can discuss it and you can give your advice and support as much as possible, but unless they were kind of, you know, direct up beyond that, I'm unsure what would be the next steps.
Well, you would raise it with the safeguarding lead at work, who would then discuss it with that person. It is the person's responsibility to report it. Absolutely, you know, you can't. But depending on the conversation that you have with them, and if they were happy for you to alert somebody else to it, because at the end of the day, there are, and this is where it is a grey area. You have to be mindful of that you do have a duty of care to somebody, and if they raise something that falls under safeguarding, then you do have a duty of care to report it to your DSL, who will then go through the systems. Most of the time it's not taken any further, you know, but they will need to investigate further to decide whether they signpost this person to another support system or whether they need to alert the authorities even further for support. Yeah. Okay. Would anyone else like to share something on some of the other scenarios that were discussed? Please.
I have a question. So all of these, they all have, all these individuals are going through something emotional, some emotional disturbance. As a coach, this is the difference between counseling and coaching. Counseling is exploration about their emotions, what they're going through in their mental health. Coaching would be more to do with the work, with the action plans, their goals. This is my understanding. Of course, when you're using coaching, individuals are going to be talking about their emotions, about their mental health. Everyone has something that they're going through. It's, I believe, it's knowing that point where it does become life-threatening to themselves, and that's when you have to be transparent and say, this is beyond my boundary, and I'm going to have to, with your consent, with your support, we can explore different ways of reaching out to the right people to help you with these.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be life-threatening. It's harm. If the person, if your coachee is at threat of harm, or you feel that they're going to harm somebody else or harm themselves, then that becomes a safeguarding issue. And then you have the conversation with that person, and then you report it to your DSL. That is, you know, that's what happens. Now, when you coach people, yeah, and it is a counselling matter, or whichever service the DSL deems is required at that point. But when you coach people, it is very much about emotions are really important, and it could be anything that you're coaching somebody on. It could be a life decision. It could be that they want to, you know, leave home, or they want to separate from their husband. That's not a safeguarding issue. That's a personal issue, and you can coach them on that. So it's you understanding that actually it's where harm is concerned, and whether that harm is mental, physical, emotional, financial, sexual, wherever that fits in, then that is where you need to take action.
As a coach, do you need to do a risk assessment?
For what?
For these individuals. Me and Linda, we were discussing maybe before, during, for the coachee, is there any risk assessment?
Not if you're a DSL, your risk assessment, you're coaching. So there wouldn't be a risk assessment at all. It would be up to the DSL to do any of the safeguarding things, because you're not qualified.
No.
Unless you are the DSL of the company, you're not qualified to do anything where the safeguarding is concerned.
Yeah, and I think it's good to be transparent about that boundary as well, to tell them I'm not the right individual to talk with about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what you would say. You'd be very, very clear with them. And that's when you contract, and we talk about this when we do contracting. That's when you do your contracting, you are very, very clear with them that the only point where confidentiality will be broken is if you are concerned about a safeguarding issue. Yeah? Okay. Anything else around safeguarding? Yeah, that's right, Therese. Okay. So I'm going to move on to prevent now. Does anyone Linda.
Sorry, I did, because if you are outside of work and you are coaching as an individual, then you won't have a DSL.
No.
So sorry, go on.
Then you would have your own system. So if you are running, okay, so if you are, you would have your MASH team or the team that works for that local authority. So if you are operating as an independent coach and you are coaching somebody independently and you are concerned about them, then what you would do is you'd have the conversation with them and say, you do need to raise this. And then you would ring, I think every borough has a golden number, which is the social services number, and you would alert them. That's the route you would go.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fine. We do it all the time, but some of those wouldn't meet threshold.
No, exactly. And that's the thing. A lot of the time it wouldn't meet threshold, but you would still refer it to social services and they would decide whether it would meet threshold or not.
Right.
And that's the difference. It wouldn't necessarily be your job to do that assessment as a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Have any of you heard of Prevent? Do you know what Prevent is? Yeah? Okay, so I'm just going to show you a quick video around Prevent. So let me just make sure that the sound is working. Can you all see that? Can you see the video? No? Okay, right. Let me stop sharing this. Sorry.
Hitting several pedestrians.
National Action is a vile group and they have no place in this country.
Hundreds came out into central Manchester today to remember lives lost.
It was in the early hours of Monday morning that a van tore through a crowd outside a mosque in Finsbury Park.
It was such a shock, obviously, when it happened, because even now when people talk about Rashid, whether friends or associates, they always say that he was the last person they would have ever thought would have ever gone down that kind of path, because he was such a bubbly young lad, full of energy, not a care in the world. He just was very happy. I think that also made him a bit maybe vulnerable. At the heart of Prevent is safeguarding, because it can make all the difference between life and death. If I had reached out to Prevent or the local authority about concerns about my son when he was being radicalised, I could have had the right intervention at the right time, and it would have made all the difference between him being with me today and being alive.
Prevent is really an umbrella term for a multiplicity of different types of interventions that are going on. Some are ideologically informed, where they sit down with an individual at risk and walk through the ideology and try to get them to disrupt that pattern of thinking. Others are more focused upon working with the parents of people that are in communities where there might be a radicalisation problem, to try and sort of help impact upon what their kids are looking at online. And the idea with Prevent is to try and impact upon these stressors and risk factors, with the idea that the risk of radicalisation will dampen if these things are treated.
Prevent works at a grassroots level. It works within the heart of the community. Prevent does help people day in, day out, and we're the proof of that. And we've helped so many families get back on track. We've had so many families and young people who are vulnerable, and we've got them into a position where we've safeguarded them. So that's how Prevent works. It basically provides safeguarding measures and puts protective factors in place to safeguard individuals from being radicalised and groomed. When people say to, why are you working with Prevent? We say to them, well, try and come and say that to one of the parents that we've helped, a young kid, through Channel, through our community project, with drug and alcohol addiction, with radicalisation. And that parent doesn't care which program helps their son or daughter, they just want help for their family.
I go to the school, and they also involve Prevent team who help them to get them better. So they also call some imam, and they give some activities to my son, and they took them to the visit some place, and they are very happy to do those activities, and they got a big change. I'm very hopeful for the future because we are progressing day by day. I think they save my son's life.
So that was the other part of the final strand of PDBA that we needed to cover. And obviously, when you're dealing with anybody, you don't know what their background is, you don't know what's going on in their lives. As a coach, it's just to be mindful. I'm not saying this is going to happen, it's very rare, but it's just so that you have that information that you need to be able to effectively signpost people to the right place. It's your duty. Okay. Right. So we're coming to the end. Before we finish, just want to direct you to, so there's some extra information in the slides that you will have, and I've sent these to you. So it's to do with appeals, appeals and complaints. So please read those. I'm not going to go through those. Please read them so you know what you can do if you are not happy about something. Once you get your OneFile login, like I said, obviously you can't go into OneFile, so I'm going to email all of this to you, and attached to this information will be the reading list, a variety of books, the personal development plan, your coaching, but all the resources that you're going to need are going to be attached to this, and there will be a link to the recording of this session as well. But this session will also be uploaded onto the Padlet, and you'll get access to the Padlet. I'll upload all of your details onto it this evening, so you have access to it when that comes through. Yes, Lewis.
Oh, sorry, just to say, me and a few others have received our OneFile access now, so it might be coming through for everybody shortly. So.
Okay, great. No, that's really good. Who hasn't received it yet? So Nina, I think okay, so there's still a few of you that haven't. Okay, so I will email this to you, so at least you've got it. And then once you've got your if you can let me know when you get your OneFile logins, so then at least I know that I can update this on OneFile for you as well. Okay. But the important thing is that you will get the CPD calendar that you can then click on the OneFile training, there's off the job training. It's a whole variety of training that you can access if you want to. That's up to you. Okay. And so what you need to do next, ignore the Cognisys because that's not on at the moment. So you do need to book an initial review with me. I think Ainsley, we've done that, but anyone else, 4 to 5 week review, if you can book that with me. Once you've got your OneFile, go on there, log in, update your profile, have a play, see how you find it. And like I said, please update your log on to the CPD courses that you want. And once you've got OneFile, please start updating your off-the-job hours in your learning journal. That's really, really important. So from today, and when you update your learning journal, your off-the-job hours, it's not just writing the activity you did. Okay, you need to write what you did. You need to reflect on what you did and what you've learned from it. And then there's a category button at the bottom, and you link it to the KSBs that activity links to. Okay, and then when you submit it, I get a chance to have a read of it. Okay. Yes, Ainsley.
Can we link the session that we've just done to K1, K4 and S15?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Okay. Any other questions?
So I've got, does this session count towards our off-the-job training?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you can link it to the KSBs that Ainsley just said, that it does count towards the off-the-job hours. Okay. Off-the-job hours are anything that you do during your working day that link to new learning to do with this apprenticeship. So attending these workshops, the active learn sets, any reading, research, assignment writing, all of that you can put down as off the job hours. Okay, right. So if you would like to leave some feedback on today's session, please scan in the code and leave that feedback. I'd really appreciate that. I do look at the feedback and amend things if I need to. So how was this session for you and what are your key takeaways? Louise?
Yeah, very informative. There's obviously a lot for everybody to learn. There's a lot of things that people already know but need to put into practice. I, for one, I'm gonna, I think, really enjoy the content for this.
Good. I'm glad. And I hope you don't feel as anxious as you did first thing.
That was just general anxiety. Everybody has that.
Yeah. No? Okay. Nicola?
I think it's probably, I mean, I know I went for number 1 in terms of the hedgehog, and that just looked like a normal hedgehog cake, but I think it's great to, well, it's been good to listen to other people, and I mean, we're right at the start of the journey, so there is some stuff that's been learned, but it is really good to kind of then go, yeah, we're kind of all at the same stage, we're all saying the same thing, so I think it will be a fantastic journey when we come to the end of it. And I think just with this short space of time, I've enjoyed kind of getting to know the people who've been in the little classrooms.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Holly?
Hi, I really enjoyed today's session. I think it's been a really great introduction moment for us all. Really nice to meet everyone and start to get to know people a little bit more. And I'm really excited to jump into more. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Anissa?
Yeah.
And Seema, sorry, I keep doing that. I really apologize.
It's
not
okay.
okay. No, it's not okay. I will get that right.
Yeah, so I've just enjoyed sharing ideas and getting to speak to everyone, see what other people think. I think I've got a bit more of a better understanding what to expect, which is good. It's put me at ease a bit.
Good. I'm really pleased. That's great to hear. Well, it's lovely to meet you all. It's a great cohort to get going with. Like I said, please do scan that code in and leave some feedback. That would be great. Any other questions, anything else that I can help you with before we finish for today? No? Okay, great. Well, have a lovely evening and I shall see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Bye,
See you later.
everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.